On the Radio is brought to you by Zurich Insurance, the perfect place to catch up with all things Melbourne. If you enjoy this content and want more inside access from the team, make sure you visit the club website.
Melbourne Membership Day, the quest for 65,000 members. The Chief Executive of the Demons is Gary Pert. Gary, always great to have you on the program.
G'day, Gerard.
Are the COVID results for today in?
Well, I've been worried every time I've answered the phone.
Yes.
When Alan Richards rings me, there hasn't been a lot of good news the last couple of days. So, look, we'll miss some players, and obviously Simon Goodwin's going to be out, and Adamuze will step up. So, it's one of those things. I mean, we've scenario planned for this before the season started. We knew that at some stage these things would happen, and it's been handled very calmly, and we've got some good players coming in to replace those going out. So I think we're still looking very strong for the weekend.
Is it still at 3, Gary, or has it grown today?
Well, we'll still have to wait and see. It's one of those things that each day all the players are testing, and you just have your fingers crossed. So we'll wait and see if anything else happens today. They're not training, but, we've got coaches, we've got some of our staff, obviously key players, but got a lot of good players coming back in as well. So it's a day-to-day thing, and as I said, we knew that this would happen at some stage during the year, and you're pretty prepared for it.
So when you war game it, Gary, what is the risk of a breakout that might decimate a team in the way that we've seen in Perth, knowing that the circumstances are different in Melbourne than they were in Perth for West Coast?
Yeah, it is slightly different, but a lot of I think most clubs, and we're the same, most of the players in the pre-season and in the earliest parts of the season have already had COVID. The players now that have got it are some of the last players, and we were very aware that Goody and some of the coaches hadn't had it. So in some ways, while it's a bit uncomfortable this week, maybe it's a good thing as we get further into the season that more of the players and coaches are now going through this now. And I think we've talked about it before. If something like this happened, including losing your head coach 2 or 3 years ago, it would have thrown a club into disarray. But I think with what we've been through the last couple of years, we're pretty used to having sort of news like this happening and just resetting the player group and the coaching group and just moving on. It's been a pretty calm approach to the whole thing internally.
So what level of additional precaution have you dropped in the past 48 hours so far, as in implemented, I mean, rather than dropped?
Yeah, well, obviously, if anyone has any symptoms, I mean, we've been very strict the whole pre-season up until this stage, which is why we've still had quite a few of our players not get it to this point. But I think we've just had someone in the group at a time that they've been very contagious. But anyone that has symptoms is either at home or not even part of the meetings or interactions with others, and that goes for players or staff members. We don't have any non-essential staff within the football program during the week or on game days. We've put in place pretty strict rules, way over the top of what the state government or the AFL have put in place. And this has really been our first little bit of an outbreak, but we went into the year knowing that the year would depend on having really good depth and flexibility to cope with, in a lot of ways, what we knew would be the inevitable.
We had one of your members, Mac, just ring, Gary, who asked about the interaction with fans over the fence at the moment. So Victorian restrictions essentially dropped last Friday, and that interaction with the fan is back. Do you have any reservations about that?
Well, we do, but we're trying to strike a balance, and this is where we're putting in place rules where we can, but at the same time, we have to allow the players and coaches. We're now the third year of the pandemic. We've had to allow them to have a little bit more normality in their life. And we've also allowed a little bit more interaction with fans And we've done it on the basis that if ever we had little breakouts like this, that we would pull things back very, very quickly. And that's what's happened this week. So there'll be less interaction for a period of time until this wave goes through. But again, we don't want to be disconnected to our supporters and have that as an indefinite thing. So we're trying to make it work for everyone.
And that's a big part of today with the membership push. So you're beyond 55,000, aiming for 65. How would you? So we lived in real time the response to the drive for the flag and the winning of it. What about the benefits now from doing that, knowing that you've lived this experience once before with Collingwood?
And look, the club's got really great momentum, and it has for the last 18 months. And I think it's a really important time now for the club to regrow itself and become sort of a bigger and better version. We've had a long period of time without that premiership success, and a lot of people had sort of dropped off and moved away from the club, long-term supporters and members. And so it really has been great to see that re-engagement. And we're not only seeing that from long-term members that had left for a period of time. Some of them were disappointed and carrying scar tissue, and now they're coming back. We're seeing a lot of kids and families coming back to the club, which is really important because over the last 20 years, you can see a real hole in our membership of the kids were sort of going to Auskick or to school with a Melbourne jumper on, and maybe getting teased because of, we weren't having that on-field success. And, of course, they left and went to other clubs. And so many of those are coming back. And I just think it's a really important part of the growth phase of the club right now while we've got this momentum.
Do you have a projection, if this is a period of success that it absolutely looks like it will be over a number of years, as to what level the membership could reach?
Yeah, so we're quite clearly, when it was only a couple of years ago, we were sitting around the 40 mark. The fact that today we're sitting on about 58 and wanting to get to 65, which I think is very realistic, and as we reconnect the club. And if we keep on performing and keep the momentum of the club going this year and next, I've no doubt we'll get to 75,000. And we need to be a big, successful Melbourne-based club. We are the oldest professional sporting club in the world, and we've been around for a long time, and we need to keep on growing and reflecting that position we have in the AFL. And like I said, when you don't have premiership success for so long, you don't get the growth that so many other of these big Melbourne iconic clubs have had. And this is our time and opportunity. And, we're really reaching out to the MCC members as well. We have 12,000 MCC members that are Melbourne supporters. They come to the Melbourne games with all the Melbourne colours on, but they still aren't Melbourne members. And we're asking them to jump on board as well and have a MCC membership and a Melbourne membership, and make sure that they're supporting the club and feeling connected. And these are all part of our growth strategies.
Do you support the floating fixture? We're hours away from seeing it. You might have seen your games already, Gary, and how big a part it plays as to what slots you land in that middle phase of the season?
Well, I'm a supporter of it right now because I understand how important it is for the AFL to have the flexibility. But I do look forward to a time when we lock the fixture in. And to me, it's all about the supporters and the members, and they want to know, they want to be able to plan for it. We've got members that are interstate, some are regional, that need to be able to plan to come to games. So I understand why it's there right at the moment, but I look forward to us getting back to a locked-in fixture as quickly as we can.
Have you got some of the prime slots, do you know?
Well, yes. I think one of the things the AFL said is, while we've got this flexibility, we want to be rewarding the clubs that are playing well and having success and playing a good style of football and having lots of scoring and all the things that the AFL want the industry to look and feel like. And I think at the moment we would be one of those clubs. And, you know, we've had a pretty strong start in the fixture, and we're going to have a lot of big home games and blockbuster games towards the end of the season as well. So I've got no doubt, based on the conversations I've had with the AFL and Channel 7, that we'll have a very good fixture for our supporters and members, and, you know, we look forward to that rolling out.
Terrific, Gary. Thanks for your time this morning.
Great. Thanks, Gerard.
Gary Pert, the Chief Executive of Melbourne. On Membership Day, join today and get a 6-game Demons membership for $66. Head to membership.melbournefc.com.au.